Hi, let's do our 4-1-2 classwork. So let me get this situated here. Okay, so in the previous lesson, you created one or two mathematical sentences that represented word problems. Today, you'll represent a word problem with two equations. You will also explore how to use the equal values method to solve the systems containing equations that are not in y equals mx plus b form. So Elsie took all of her cans and bottles from home to the recycling plant. The number of cans was one more than 4 times the number of bottles. She earned 12 cents per each bottle, 10 cents for each can, and ended up earning $2.18 in all. How many cans and bottles did she recycle? Solomon thinks to solve the problem by writing one equation. He said, I can let B represent the number of bottles, so then 4B plus 1 would be the number of cans. My equation would be 12B plus 10 times 4B plus 1 equals 218. Marcus agreed with Solomon's answer, but said it's easier to solve this problem with two equations. I can let B represent the number of bottles, and C represent the number of cans, and then that way, my two equations are C equals 4B plus 1 and 12B plus 10C equals 218. So Solomon's equation had three terms, 12B, 10 times 4B plus 1, and 218. What do each of these represent? The 12B represented the price per bottle. And then 10 times 4B plus 1 would be the price per can, because the cans said up here the number of cans was one more than 4 times the number of bottles. So for can, it would be 4B plus 1. And so then 218 would be the total cost. But when you look at Marcus's equations, he has the 4B plus 1, that's the number of cans, 12B plus 10C, that's going to be the total cost because it was 12 cents per bottle, 10 cents per can, so that's going to give it the cost. And then the 218 was the total cost. So do Solomon's equations and Marcus' equations represent the same problem? Why or why not? And the answer is yes. Either one of these would be an appropriate way to solve this problem. Going to our next going through to our next page here. There's just a little bit cut off here, but the instructions tell us, I'll just read it off my paper here, to solve this problem using Solomon's equation. Be sure to label your answer, and we do not need to solve Marcus's. So Solomon's is the one that had just the one equation. So the 12b plus 10 times 4b plus 1 equals 218. And so you'll see I have written that here, and then you just solve it. So you do the distributive property first. So 10 times 4b is 40b. 10 times 1 is 10. From here, you combine like terms. 12b plus 40b is 52b. Keep your plus 10 equals 218. Now it's time to start solving. So you're going to subtract 10 from both sides. And then you have 52b equals 208. Divide both sides by 52, and you can tell that there were 4 bottles. And the question, how many cans and bottles did she recycle? So I really only I forgot to write the can part, but if we know that the cans were 4B plus 1, now that we know that there were 4 bottles, you would take 4 times B, 4 times 4 is 16 plus 1. And so also you would have 17 cans. That would be the part that I forgot to write on this one. So Renard thought that writing two equations for problem 420 was easy, but he wasn't sure if he knew how to solve the system of equations. He wants to use two equations with two variables to solve the problem. So here's a new problem. It says Ariel bought several bags of caramel candy and taffy. The number of bags of taffy was 5 more than the number of bags of caramels. Taffy bags weigh 8 ounces, caramel bags weigh 16 ounces. The total weight was 400 ounces. How many bags of candy did she buy? So Renard lets T equal the number of taffy and C be the number of caramel. Help him write two equations. So it says the number of bags of taffy was 5 more than caramel. So if C is caramel, you'll do 5 plus C to get taffy. And then to think about the total ounces, the bags of candy had to weigh 400. And then as you're thinking about your taffy and your caramel, Think about it in terms of ounces. Each bag of taffy is 8, each bag of caramel is 16, and so you would need to solve that equation. Now, the second part says, so now he's stuck. If both of the equations were in the form t equals something, he could set the two equations equal to each other to find the solution. So help him change that into a form. So the first one already is t plus 5, t equals 5 plus c. And so what I did is I took the second equation to get t by itself, subtracted 16c from both sides, so 400 minus 16c equals 8 times t, opposite of times is divide. Keeping in mind, when you divide, you're dividing the whole side. So 400 divided by 8 is 50, and then you have minus, and then 16 divided by 8 is 2. So now you have two equations. You have the t equals 5 plus c, and t equals 50 minus 2c. So now that you have each of those equaling to t, t is the same thing. That means you can put those two equations together. So 5 plus c, this is t, this one's also t. So you can set those two equal to each other. You'll add 2c to both sides, and then you get 5 plus 3c equals 50. Subtract 5 from both sides, and you get 3c equals 45. And then when you divide, you get c equals 15. And so if there were 15 bags of caramel, then to find the bags of taffy, you have t equals 5 plus c. So if caramel was 15, you would just take 5 plus 15, and you would get 20. Stay tuned for video 2 for the next problems.